What's up, guys? Today we're going to be talking about the math class. And the math class is basically a class that you can import that holds a bunch of different functions and methods that are super important for performing some various numeric operations. And obviously that's called by the import statement import.java.lang.math. And let's take a look at some of the methods that you can use in the math class. So what we're going to do first is we're going to first import our math class. So we're going to go import java.lang.math. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to set just a quick print statement, and we're going to copy that because we're going to see how these methods work by printing them. Oops. So let's just copy and paste a bunch of different print statements. And the first one we're going to use is, obviously it's the math class, so you have to do math. And then we're going to look at the Pow method. And what the Pow method does is it takes the power or the exponent of the two numbers that you put. So you put two doubles. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to do 3 and 2. So if we go ahead and run this, you'll see that it'll print 9.0, and you're inputting two doubles, so that's why it prints out as a double or 0.0. And basically, obviously, what the math class does and this Pow method does is it took 3 to the 2, or 3 times 3, or 3 times 2, sorry. If we do 3 times 3, you'll see that it'll print 27 because you're doing 3 to the third, 27.0. Oops. If we do 5 to the second, obviously 25, I don't need to re-explain myself. The second method that we're going to look at is the ceil and floor. So let's just do math.ceil and math.floor. And obviously you're going to input a double. And we're going to do 3.4 and 3.4, and we're going to see what these two things do. So we did math.ceil 3.4 and math.floor 3.4. And what it did is it printed 4.0 and 3.0. So what ceil does is it rounds to the highest integer, the next highest integer value. So no matter what it is, so 3.4 rounded to 4.0, and 3.4 with the floor method rounded down to 3.0. And that's pretty useful when dealing with decimals and stuff like that. And the next one we're going to look at is the square root function. And we're going to take just the square root of 12, and we'll see how this works. And when we take the square root of 12, obviously it gives us 3. 12 is not a perfect square, but if we do something like 25, it should give us 5.0. Sorry, 25. We go ahead and run that. You'll see that it prints out 5.0. Next function we're going to look at is the absolute value function. And what this does is, obviously we have a number like 213. We can take the absolute value of that, and we can do the same thing with absolute value of negative 213. And because APCS is a high school class and you've already gone through high school math and middle school math, I'm guessing you know what absolute value is, so I don't have to explain myself. But you see that it prints the same thing. So absolute value of 213 is 213. Absolute value of negative 213 is 213. I can give you some examples of where the absolute value method will come in handy, but we're going to look at an example in a different video where I just go over a bunch of different APCS free response practice questions. The next one we're going to look at is the max and the min method. So we do math.min 12, 34, and math.min of 12 and 34, and go ahead and run that. We'll see that it prints out 12 because that's the smallest number, and it prints out 34 for max because that's the biggest number. And now finally one, which is our last method that we're going to look at, which is actually pretty important, is the random method. And this is included in the math class, but there's also a random class, and we'll talk about that a little later. So if we take math.random and don't input anything into the parentheses, let's see what it prints. So it prints out a huge decimal. Sorry, not a huge decimal, it's actually 0.12 approximately. But what it did is it basically just printed out a random double, and it could be anything. So if we run it again, we'll see that it's 0.79. And if we run it again, we'll see that it's 0.86. If you don't specify the bounds within your random class, it's just gonna print a double between 0 and 1. But the way in the syntax to specify a number is just star or shift 8 and 10. And what this will do is it'll print a double between 0 and 10. And so like we see here, it prints out 8.38. And if we go ahead and run it again, we'll see that it prints out 9.09. Do it again, 7.87. And the random is super important. It doesn't have to be with numbers. You can generate just random elements from data structures or what have you. And just one quick thing, because this is printing just random decimals, what we can do is we can do something like this, just integrating our other methods. Math.ceil, math.random. So just put a math.ceil, and what that is gonna do, like we said, is it's gonna generate that random number, but it's gonna take the ceiling of that, so it's gonna round it up to the highest integer value or whole number. And like we see here, it prints out 3.0. If we run it again, it prints out 2.0. If we run it again, it prints out 5.0. Yeah. And so these are the methods, some of the important methods in the math class. There are obviously a lot more, but I thought these were the most important ones to cover in a video. Thank you so much for watching.